All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. So to kick us off, I'm actually going to put up a poll onto your screen. We're going to ask you guys to answer just a couple questions here before we get started with our event this evening. These are just a couple pre-test questions so we can gauge a little bit of knowledge that you guys have coming in. We are doing a fun giveaway this month. So if you take this pre-test as well as the post-test at the end of this event, we will enter you twice, so one for each test that you take, into a monthly drawing for a $25 gift card. So if you don't mind helping us out by taking this poll on your screen, we would greatly appreciate it. And then there will be one more at the end of this event as well. So if you stick around and take that, we'll get you registered a second time for that gift card. While we are filling that out, just a couple quick background pieces for you guys. First off, this webinar is being recorded. So if you missed something, you want to rewatch it later, you know someone who wasn't able to attend, this will be available for them in the future. We get these posted either on our website or our YouTube page. So you can find this webinar as well as several other recorded webinars there. A couple tech things: you are muted and your videos are off. So if you're sitting down for dinner, eating a dessert before bed, whatever it might be, we can't see you, we can't hear you. So kick back, relax, feel comfortable. It does mean if you have any questions at any point throughout this presentation, you will need to put those either in the chat or the Q&A function. Both are available for you and both of those will be monitored. I believe we're going to save all questions till the end, but feel free to drop those in as you get them and we will make sure to circle back to any of those questions. So we're going to kick off. My name is Amanda. I am the program director here at Conservation Nebraska, and I have the privilege of overseeing our Common Ground AmeriCorps program, which is where our two presenters come from for us this evening. So Conservation Nebraska is a nonprofit that focuses on environmental education and advocacy. And the AmeriCorps program specifically focuses on a lot of that educational outreach. So our AmeriCorps members are wonderful and they get to host and put on events like this throughout the entire year. We're lucky enough that these two members, Grace and Eric here, decided that they wanted to present for you. So I'm going to hand it off straight to them. They're going to give you a great presentation on ways that you can live sustainably at home. And I will just kick it over to you, Grace.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you everyone for coming. My name's Grace Kollars. This is my first year with the AmeriCorps program, and I'm a junior at UNL, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And some topics that me and Eric will be talking about today are Nebraska's data on water usage, carbon emissions, and waste disposal, and waste production. And we're also going to look at, I'm going to talk about ways we can reduce those amounts. So different ways on how to reduce your carbon emissions, how to reduce your water waste and general waste. And Eric, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Eric Davis. I am from Kearney, Nebraska, and I've been with Conservation Nebraska for 3 years in the program. And I'm really going to more reiterate some of the things that Grace is going to speak about. And I really like our picture here. It really shows the awesome items that you could use instead of wasteful one-time use plastic items. And I'm going to go more in depth about plastic usage and ways to reduce it.
All right, thank you, Eric. And first I'm going to be giving you some data on Nebraska's water usage. And so in 2016, there was 174 million gallons of water that were withdrawn, delivered every day for domestic use. And I got this resource from the Natural Resource District. And so the residents used about 95 gallons of water per day around their home. And the top water use appliance was the toilet, which actually accounts for 40% of residential water use in Nebraska. Oh, it's a lot. And it actually takes about 2 to 7 gallons of water to flush the toilet once. So, and in 2017, the average person in Nebraska uses about 9,000 gallons of water to flush 230 gallons of waste down the toilet. So it's a big ratio from water to waste. It's a just big issue about how much water is being used. Not as much can be. And washing machines are the second biggest water user at home, and showers and baths are the third, with about 20% of household water use. All right, and here is an image that I thought was very interesting. It is about the difference between old appliances pre-1994 and modern day appliances when they have the logos of WaterSense and Energy Star on them. So you can see the big differences are in the larger appliances, like the toilet reduced the amount of water by almost 1/4. So that's amazing. And almost half by the washing machine. So there's a huge difference now. And so whenever you have the chance to get new appliances in your home, look for the WaterSense and Energy Star features. And here are some other ways of how to reduce your water use. So you can identify and repair any water leaks in your home. This is important because there could be many leaks in different faucets, shower heads, water heaters. And if you can fix those fast, you can save a lot of water from being wasted. And changing your water use practices is a big one. Taking shorter showers. And there's actually a data point that I really like. And if every Nebraska resident reduced their shower duration by 1 minute, about 1 billion gallons of water would be saved every year. So that's just a 1 minute difference can make 1 billion gallons of a difference. And not flushing the toilet as often, as I said before, it takes a lot of water to flush the toilet. And so if it's clear, maybe you don't have to. I know it's not a big deal if your water is already clear because you're saving 2 gallons of water by flushing it less. And doing fewer loads of laundry or dishes. When you're doing laundry, the washer and dryer is the second most appliance. So it takes a lot of water to do laundry loads. So if make your laundry as full as possible when you're doing loads. And dishes, the dishwasher also takes less amount of water to use than hand washing dishes. So dishwashing is a lot more conservative on water. And when you are doing loads of dishes, just make sure the dishwasher is as full as it can be, just so you're getting more out of your loads. And Eric will talk more about this, but add aerators to your faucets because it's great because it reduces the amount of water that's released, but gives you the same amount of wetting ability, which is fantastic. It will help a lot and make a big difference in the long run. And replace old appliances and fixtures to more efficient products like the Energy Star and WaterSense labels. If you see that around, it's important to have those appliances. And so here are some benefits for reducing your water at home. Reducing your water almost will cost close to nothing and can actually save you money. So I know everyone likes that. And reducing the amount of water heated in your home can reduce your water bill a lot. And water is a finite natural resource, which is conservation. Nebraska is all about preserving our natural resources. So it's very important to conserve it as much as possible to guarantee availability for future use. And Eric, I know you had some to add.
I have a little personal story about the aerators, 2 faucets. These aerators were like $4 a piece at max, I found. And we bought a house last November, this house I live in right now, last November, and 3 of the sinks did not have aerators on them. We used 2 of those, one or both of the bathroom sinks most often. I went and bought aerators and installed them with ease because just didn't even need any tools. And on next month's bill, I noticed that it was a good chunk less. Not that we used staying less water, it's just we had those on our faucets and it did actually use less water because of those. So those are very important things. And with the reducing your water heated, One way to do that easily would be washing your clothes in cold water. I know a lot of people are against that and whatever, but it will reduce your consumption a lot because you will use less whatever natural gas or heat, electric or whatever, to heat your water, and you'll use less because a lot of money to heat water. So it save money as well. So it does save money, and areas are really cheap.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Yeah. So next I want to talk about Nebraska's carbon emissions. So first I want to talk about what exactly carbon footprint is the measure of total greenhouse gases released in the atmosphere as a result to human activities. And I actually have two links right here. It's the carbon footprint calculator, sorry. And it takes data from your home energy, transportation, and waste. So how many loads of laundry you do, how many loads of dishes you do, all of that, your home energy sources, and it collects all that information that you put in the calculator to see how much CO2 you are emitting in the atmosphere. So that's a really great resource to have. I can copy the link at the end of the presentation into the chat so everyone can have access to it, and this is also recorded. So. And there's also the ecological footprint calculator, which is another really great resource. It takes your food, housing, and transportation information and gathers the data on that as well. And it gives you information about how many Earths it takes to sustain the way you live. So I thought that was very interesting because the Earth naturally reproduces its resources. So how many Earths it takes to sustain you is a great way to learn how you can reduce it. And here is some data that I got from the Energy Information Administration about Nebraska's carbon emissions. In 2016, 4.5% of Nebraska's total carbon emissions came from residential uses. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but it still contributes. And in 2008, 2.8 million metric tons of carbon dioxide were emitted from the use of fossil fuels in the residential sector. So it's a lot of CO2 coming from residents and their activities at home. And so here are some ways that you can reduce your carbon emissions at home. Insulating your home is very important. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of money to heat your home, especially in Nebraska during the winter. So insulation helps keep that energy inside. So you don't have to spend enough money and spend more money and use more energy to heat up your house. And if possible, switch to renewable energy. Wind and solar are growing a lot in the state of Nebraska. So that would be great. We have a lot of webinars on Conservation Nebraska's website about solar and wind energy in Nebraska. So if you want to check more information on that. And changing your diet, red meat takes a lot of energy to produce, a lot of transportation, a lot of water. So reducing the amount of red meat and shopping locally at local grocery stores where it's not a lot of plastic waste in your products. It's great. And also unplugging outlets and turning off lights. That's a very important subject to talk about, especially in the holidays when everyone's traveling and leaving their home for at least a few days. So unplugging your outlets before you leave can save a lot of energy and money on your next electricity bill. And reduce, reuse, and recycle. It's always been a saying, but it really does help with carbon emissions. And riding a bike, walking, and using public transportation to work or school. I know in Lincoln, they have a great public transport system with the buses. It's easy to use and it's free and it's great. But riding a bike and walking is also a great source to use. And eliminate single-use plastics. Eric will talk more about this later about our waste reduction. but single-use plastics are a very bad pollutant to this earth, and if you have reusable items that can replace them, it's worth it. And just thinking green in your life whenever you make a decision that uses energy, think of a way that you could do it more sustainably, so think about the earth before you make decisions. And some reasons why this is important is because carbon emissions and the release of greenhouse gases are the main causes to climate change and global warming. And so our top is carbon dioxide, and there's also, and our second leading is methane. And global temperatures are increasing with extreme weather events are getting more severe, ocean levels are rising, and acidification is occurring. So a lot of ecosystems are being destroyed because of global warming, and carbon emissions are a big part of that. And making small changes to reduce your carbon footprint can lead to big results regarding the fight against climate change. Because I know like what you're doing doesn't seem like it's making that big of a difference, but if everyone does one small thing, then it can make a big difference for everyone. And here's a slide about Nebraska's waste production and disposal. So in the state of Nebraska, we use landfills to dispose of household waste. And there are over 2 million tons of waste deposited every year, with 23 permitted landfills. And there are 8 permitted composting sites in the state of Nebraska. And a lot of at-home composting is very popular here. And in 2010, about 42% of the waste Nebraskans disposed of in landfills were actually composed of recyclable materials. So a lot of waste that is being thrown away into landfills can actually be recycled and reused again. And why this is so bad for the environment: landfills release methane gas into the atmosphere, which is the second biggest greenhouse gas, contributing to global warming. And landfills also release a liquid called leachate, which contaminates water sources nearby, damaging ecosystems. And so here are some ways about how to reduce your waste. Practice first in, first out when it comes to food in your home. Like when you're in your fridge, when you bought grocery products, the first thing you bought would be the first thing to leave, or the first thing that goes bad, you should eat first, just so you can not waste food when it goes bad or anything. And switch out plastic toothbrushes with compostable bamboo toothbrushes, because we usually don't think about that when we're brushing our teeth. Like, this is plastic, why can't I just have my bamboo toothbrush instead? And compost that so it doesn't waste enough plastic. And buy secondhand clothing and donate your items instead of throwing them away. So secondhand stores are great with thrifting. You can get unique items as well. And it reduces the amount of waste you use with, especially online shopping, the amount of plastic and packaging they use. It's great to buy secondhand. And instead of throwing your useless items away, you can donate them instead to Goodwill so someone else can reuse them. And using reusable water bottles, coffee mugs, and shopping bags are also a great way to just reduce your general waste. I have my water bottle, it's very helpful. Coffee mugs, travel mugs are great, and shopping bags to reduce your amount of single-use plastics with plastic shopping bags. The cloth ones are great to use, and just keep them in your car every time you go back shopping. And getting rid of disposable products in the kitchen. So some alternatives is a reusable paper towel. I actually have one. It's basically kind of like a washcloth, and you wring it out and dry it overnight, and it's actually good for, I think, 200 washes. So it's very useful. And dishwasher safe Ziploc bags. So instead of using plastic Ziploc bags and throwing away, there's ones that are dishwasher safe, so you can reuse them, which is nice. And using cloth napkins instead of regular paper napkins, and like cloth rags instead of paper towels is also a way to do that. Recycling and composting, that's a great way to do that, and Eric will talk more about composting in Nebraska. And invest in rechargeable batteries to reduce hazardous waste from lead batteries that we use, or mercury-based batteries. And go digital to reduce paper waste. So not printing enough paper to go digital. I know a lot of college students already do that because it's mostly online right now, but with any paper that can use a nice email could work as well. And so why reducing waste is so important. Reducing impact on our agricultural production and freshwater locations, producing like meat products like beef and a chicken egg. It takes a lot of water, it takes a lot of natural resources and transportation to make those products. So if you reducing waste reduces the impacts on those productions. And freshwater locations, again, agriculture has an impact on our fresh water, and contamination with landfills. It has an impact as well. And waste causes pollution, which contributes to climate change. Obviously, landfills release methane gas and contributes to global warming. And more waste means you're spending more money, which takes more energy and depletes our natural resources. So it's overall very beneficial to reduce your amount of waste as much as you can. And recycling and composting reduces the amount of waste in landfills and allows companies to use recycled material rather than raw materials. And I know, Eric, you had something to add about plastics. Oh, sorry, Eric, I think you're still muted.
All right, sorry. I wanted to talk more about reducing plastics, single-use plastics like toothbrushes. And they are one of the biggest contributions to that 42% of things that could be recycled that are end up in our landfill. So I personally have done all of this that is listed on the screen here. I use cold processed soaps instead of body wash. There's over 18 companies here in Nebraska that do right here in Kearney. There's one in Hastings and there's a few in Lincoln. And you can go on grownebraska.org and type in their search box soap, and it'll list you a bunch of companies in Nebraska make soap. Some of those also make bar shampoos instead of liquid shampoos. Again, it's the liquids all have to use plastic to store. They go to the big box stores, they sell on the shelf, they come in big boxes wrapped in plastic and then in plastic to sit on the shelves. So by changing your soaps and shampoos to cold processed soaps and soap bars, you do if your choices of the containers or not wrapped in plastic as well, and they're in boxes and paper, whatever that can be recycled and composted. It's much better than wrapped in plastic, everything wrapped in plastic. So those are things that I have done, as well as I don't use a razor, but I did use the electric razor for many years, and used disposable razors for many years, and I just can never go back to doing that. I do own a safety razor that I picked up at Antique Store. That was made in the United States in the 50s. And they're inexpensive, and you buy the razor blades and you keep the razor forever. It will last forever. If you don't want to use a safety razor, don't think it will give you a clean enough shave. Electric razor, disposables as well, because you're not throwing away so much plastic. And again, disposables come in a plastic bag, or they're wrapped in plastic containers and plastic. It's a lot of plastic with disposable razors. Another thing I do, and I've done for over 4 or 5 years now, 5 years, uh, is I make my own deodorant. It's a simple recipe. It's one or equal parts of baking soda, arrowroot powder, and coconut oil. I do add some fragrance to that via um, essential oils, but that's not needed if you don't want that. And one thing about the deodorant that I do make is it's all food grade items. Uh, so then that means people on low income and uh, food stamps would be able to make their own deodorant without having to find a way to buy it because you can't buy deodorant on because it's not food. So compost all my food scraps. I've been doing that since I moved into my house here, and I just have my own little compost and I tend to it, and it's really easy. We also have a thing where they do pick up yard waste, food scraps, and compost it at the landfill. They have a composting area for us, and I think Lincoln does too, as a composting ability. And in Lincoln can also take your big red worms, and so people in apartments get rid of theirs as well. If you need to buy plastic things in plastic containers like dishwashers, things like that, try to buy the biggest container you can. Then it'll last longer. 1, 2. Instead of buying a bunch of little bottles that last a month, you're buying one that lasts 3 or 4 months. So that's a way to reduce a lot. So that's one thing I do with dishwashing soap, since we don't have a dishwasher yet. This is like Ken said, don't buy the plastic cutlery. You don't need it. There's other things. If you're going to plan a birthday party and you don't want to, and you're having a need for cutlery, Walmart sells metal ones for like $1. Not wrapped in plastic, and they, you can just buy metal ones or wooden ones or whatever. And Mylar balloons is a huge waste. Those are the helium balloons. They do not biodegrade. They get stuck in our water, get stuck in our cornfields. Just not a good thing. Balloons are terrible. So my point is, you don't have to do all this, but I want you to think about when you're in this big shopping centers and you're looking at things. Do you know how it came into the store? Is it wrapped in plastic? Is it triple wrapped in plastic? And things like that. Like soap is one of the biggest ones. It's even the bar soap in the stores, it's triple wrapped in plastic. Which is unnecessary. And so it's just one of those things that does bug me, and I do try to do my part. If you're interested in what I buy, or what also, as I buy as local as possible. I try to buy things that are made in the United States. Again, for my soaps and shampoos, they're made right here in the United States. So it's just something you also need to think about when you're buying at the shopping center. Okay, is this local? Is this better? Local is better. Yes, it might be more expensive, but again, it travels less. It doesn't travel as far, and that's a huge reduction of carbon when you buy something more local. So that's why I say that changing your shopping habits and to continue to use less at the beginning it really starts in the store when you are shopping and looking at the products.
All right, thank you, Eric. And so that will wrap up our information about part of the presentation, but we'll move on to questions. If you have any, you can pop them in the chat and Eric and I can answer them. And if we hopefully happen to not know one, we can always research and email because we have all your emails for registering. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we're getting much in, but if that happens to change, we can always answer them. And if you guys happen to think of one later, here is our information. So we're going to move on to the post-test and the end survey. And here is me and Eric's contact information. Eric's based in Kearney, me in Lincoln. The survey should pop up for you. It'll ask 3 extra questions than last time. Survey should pop up for you. And Eric, it looks like you have a question about the deodorant in the chat.
Yes, Jill, I actually reuse a container for my deodorants from the shampoo pucks I buy. They're from Duke Supply out of Minnesota, and they come in these 4-ounce metal tins. And so when I mix up a batch of deodorant, I keep these metal tins from my shampoo pucks, and then I reuse those for my deodorants. And the one thing about the deodorant, though, you do have to keep it at room temperature or cooler. If it does get hot, it does melt. So yeah, I just reuse my containers that I get from the shampoo bars.
And Peggy, one of our other members, actually mentioned something about people from smaller communities not being able to recycle because of recycling centers. And that's true a lot. I know my apartment doesn't recycle, but I'm actually doing a program right now. And there are plenty of recycling drop-off locations in Lincoln. I know I live downtown Lincoln, and mine's only about a 10-minute drive away. And it just separates the items, glass, cardboard, paper, and plastics. I think it's plastics 1 through 5 that they accept. But yeah, there's not a lot in smaller communities, but when you can find one near you, it's great.
Oh yeah, Peggy, I know when I lived in an apartment here in Kearney, I would take my stuff to the bin drop-off places. I would talk to people and ask them where they were from. If I noticed they were not from Kearney, via their license plate, and it just takes a will more than anything to do it. All these people, I seen a lady from Kansas one day dropping off recycling in Kearney. It just, they make it a routine of they're going to be coming to Kearney, they'll take their recycling with them. It's more, if there's a will, they'll do it. You can't twist everyone's arm to do it, but we can sure try.
I had a question. What's my favorite way to conserve energy? Thank you for that question. It's a great one. I think my favorite way is to recycle a lot. Every product that before throwing away, I like to check which part of it's recyclable. And I also like making sure all my outlets and lights are turned off, especially when I'm not using them throughout the day. I think that's just, I mean, it's little things right now because I can't do much as a college student living in an apartment. It's not too easy, but I do what I can, and I'm excited for the future when I can have more resources to do more. So.
I'm going to answer that question too because I think it's fun. My favorite ways are also shutting off lights and unplugging things, but also finding a product that I can use in replace of. I am a sucker for finding those things, and that's why I love the reusable Ziploc bags. I love them. I wish I could find a few better ones now, but so those type of things. I love finding those things, and oh, I don't have to buy this product anymore. Yay!
If there's any more questions that you guys have, you can always use those 2 emails and ask me and Eric. But if no one else has anything, that's all we have. I want to just thank you guys again for coming. I hope you guys learned something about how to live more sustainably at home. And I hope you guys maybe change just one thing about the way you live and hopefully into a sustainable direction. It's just one step at a time, and whatever you can do, it will always help. So thank you guys for coming.